You are watching the Tokusatsu Network. Well, my name is Matt Frank. I'm a comic book artist by trade, and I most notably worked for IDW Publishing for about 6 years on the Godzilla comics, from starting in 2010 to publishing in 2011, but I started working for them in 2010, and then I worked for them all the way up through 2016, although I had worked for them actually since before then on various Transformers books. So Godzilla, Transformers, and I did a lot of different stuff, mostly kaiju related. Still working on Godzilla stuff. I did a poster for the American release of Shin Godzilla last year. I'm on the Shin Godzilla Blu-ray as the special features. And now I'm actually working with my friends in Japan at Phase 6 on a adaptation of Redman, which is a property from Tsuburaya Productions, the owners of Ultraman. And now I'm working with Tsuburaya on a lot of different stuff. Sorry, mostly Redman for now. So we'll see how things go. I usually attribute it to just being a young person, being a kid. And when you're a kid, you like to draw. I mean, it's something to do with your hands, keeps you off the streets. And, when you're a little kid, what do you want to draw? You want to draw the stuff you like. You want to draw dinosaurs. You want to draw Power Rangers. You want to draw Godzilla, the stuff you like. And then as I got older, especially into middle school and high school, I got really into manga and anime, and I really fell in love with the art styles and the way they do visual storytelling in manga and anime is really fun. And I had read some American comics, but didn't really start reading American comics or international comics until college, when I really started diving into big mainstream stuff and indie stuff. So I got this nice, well-rounded view of comics, and because I loved the idea of the idea that being an artist was like a job, but there was a way where you could be the art. Basically, the art is kind of an extension of yourself, because doing stuff like concept art and movie design stuff or video game design, all that stuff, that's great and it's fun and it's really cool. But a comic is sort of where you get to kind of call the shots and you really get to put yourself on the page. So that's what I think was really appealing to me. A little bit of narcissism, but I think for a lot of people, it kind of goes back to Godzilla, because as a kid, I really loved dinosaurs, as I said, and Godzilla is the biggest, baddest dinosaur to ever exist, because then you're like, whoa, this is like, because you want to see all these dinosaur movies as a kid, so you're watching all Ray Harryhausen stuff, or you're watching Jurassic Park and things like that, and then you see Godzilla, and you're like, okay, so it's a dinosaur, but he's like in modern times, he can breathe fire, and there's a whole bunch of movies about him, and it became like a scavenger hunt because there was no internet, so I would have to go to Blockbuster Videos and be like, there's like a son of Godzilla, there's who's Megalon, who's the smog monster. So that was really fun. And then, of course, again, for a lot of people, I think the broader range of Tokusatsu is opened up when you see Power Rangers for the first time. And I was there when it first dropped. I saw the promos on Fox Kids and was like, because I remember I was just sitting in my room just drawing or just probably playing with action figures, whatever. And then I heard Mastodon, Pterodactyl, Triceratops, and I'm like, because I had been wanting a dinosaur-themed superhero for a long time. Like, as a kid, I just had this idea, like, I really wanted to make like a Dino Man or something. And then I saw, oh my god, there's a team of superheroes. They're all based on prehistoric animals, and they have giant robots and they fight monsters, and it's like a Godzilla movie, and this has to be Japanese. And I mean, so that's kind of the long and short. And then eventually that spins out into stuff like Ultraman and Super Sentai and Kamen Rider, and you know, your checklist of Tokusatsu. So. It actually wasn't something I really pursued. I thought that Redman was just this funny, basically a glorified meme, because Tsuburaya started uploading them on their YouTube page, and people started passing them around. And at that point, I don't even think I hadn't really even heard of him. I know a lot of Japanese superheroes, and I didn't even think I had heard of Redman before them. But I recognized it as, okay, this is like Ultra Fight or something. This is one of their budget time filler slots that they did for like Japanese children's variety shows and stuff. But it kind of became this weird meme, and a lot of people in the Toku fandom and the Kaiju fandom started sharing it, like, look at this weird thing. And I remember at the time I was working with Phase 6 on releasing the IDW Godzilla books in Japan. So I was doing new covers for them, and I was going over there a little bit, you know, finding a nice enthusiastic audience, but you know, still kind of building things up over there. Now, Andrew Hall runs Phase 6. Yes, he's a gaijin, and he's a big Tokusatsu fan as well, and he saw Redman and said, "Oh my God, we have to make a comic out of this." And I'm like, really? You think so? So I was a little skeptical at first, and because I was at the time, I was kind of like, yeah. Sure. They'll go for that. And I just, not dismissive or like, you know, or mean about it or anything. I was just like thinking to myself, there's no way. This industry is made out of barriers. It's made out of gates, and you have to get past this one. You have to get past this one. You have to get past this one. And I just thought the idea of like going to Tsuburaya and saying, "Hey, let us make a comic," they would just be like, "What's a bunch of white guys doing in our office?" So Andrew asked me, "Hey, do some sketches. Like, just do like a couple pages of sketches, and we'll take them with us, and we'll do a nice. We got a meeting with Tsuburaya." And I'm like, "Whoa, okay, it's looking more serious now." So I made some sketches. And then a couple of days later, he messaged me back and he said, "We got it." And I'm like, "Get out of here." And he said, "Yeah, they know your work. They had seen the Godzilla books we'd done. Apparently some of the people who work at Tsuburaya are fans of the book I did." So, which was funny because when I eventually visited Tsuburaya, a couple of the employees were like, "Oh, they came up with my book," and they're real excited because they knew I was coming. So it made me really happy. So once it became kind of real, it was just the idea like that Redman was like this. No way. There's no way. Oh God, it's happening. And so, yeah, that's how it happened. So then I decided, I better go down this rabbit hole, and I better make sure I do this right. So I became a fan, like, as I was working on it. You ever seen Twin Peaks? It's like that. It's I'm purposely keeping it very mysterious and very esoteric because I feel like because the original show is so bare bones, but there is intentionally or unintentionally, there's a style to it. It's a lot of handheld camera, which again was a result of their budget and their time constraints. Because if you actually read the first volume of Redman, there's an opening forward by Shinichi Oka, who was the cameraman on Redman, and was most recently the former head of Tsuburaya Productions. So he climbed that ladder. I don't remember his actual title, but he was like one of the big bosses. So he and you read it, he'll talk about how like, oh yeah, we just had to do hand cam stuff because we didn't really have a whole lot of direction. So they piled all the kaiju on top of their van and drove out into the wilderness, just some places that didn't have power lines and houses. But as a result, and I think there must be shooting in the winter, because it is a bleak show. I mean, everything is dead. It's all dead grass. And I'm like, and so as a result, this style kind of comes out of it. And so I started harnessing this concept of this this like nightmare realm, basically. This a friend of mine just recently described it as like another dimension, basically. And or maybe it's not. We don't really know where it is, but there is a lot. There actually is like a lexicon of stuff that I have written down. You just may never know. You may just have to figure it out for yourself, because again, if you remove a lot of the mystery of what's going on, it removes a lot of the appeal of it. So the basic story is that you have this character, Redman, who's like a Ronin. He's like this wandering warrior. He's trapped in this plane of existence where there are all these kaiju, and the kaiju seem to die and then just come back. So he's really trying to kind of dig into this idea of like madness, of him basically losing himself, just killing and killing and killing. We're getting weird with it. We're getting weird. He's not a bad guy, though. He used to be a hero. There's something going on there. There's some high-level stuff going on that he's not even aware of. And I'm getting into that now with Volume 2, so... So, as an example, working with Tsuburaya. So in the first volume, I had a page where Astron is eating a smaller monster, and it's pretty violent and kind of shocking because he's just like crunch, and there's blood, and the little guy's like, "Rah!" And Tsuburaya sent Phase 6 the most polite message saying, we don't want to we don't want to ruffle any feathers, but this is a little too intense, because Eiji Tsuburaya's whole ethos was that you can't narrowly draw this stuff in a way that makes it inaccessible to children. Now, I think that rule has been bent a couple of times in the past, but I think just for the tone and for the way things were going, they just thought it was a little too intense. So they were very, very, very politely asking us to just change this one thing. That was the only note we got. And so I was sitting in an izakaya in Tokyo with Andrew and Haltron, one of the people who works for one of the his employees, and I drew out the onomatopoeia, the sound effect for crunch, and we were just gonna paste that over the little monster getting eaten. So it's almost worse. So that's what it's like. They're very nice. They're very sweet. Fujita-san is our liaison. He's our marketing director, and he's extremely nice. And they're all just really enthusiastic and really nice. And it's like a little family, and it's really nice. It's not like working for a real big company where everybody's like, oh, you gotta like this guy, and you gotta like this guy. Blah, blah, blah. So it's a lot of fun. It's really nice. Well, I don't want to get too deep into it because the comic is so esoteric, but there's going to be some surprises. If you're a fan of the Ultraman franchise and the Ultra series and Tsuburaya in general, you're going to see a lot of Easter eggs and a lot of little stuff where you're like, oh, I know that character, or oh, that's a really interesting take on this character, or oh, this is where he's going with it. Oh, God, no. I'm going to get weird with Volume 2, and in Volume 3 is going to get even weirder, and it's going to be a lot of, I think the Japanese Twitter reactions were really accurate, where they were like, they couldn't believe that this was reality, that Redman exists and an American comic book artist is making it. So I want to keep building on that level of disbelief that this is even a thing that exists. Okay, I'm gonna say either Eisenborg, which was adapted over here as Attack of the Super Monsters, which is that anime live action hybrid. The problem is that I wouldn't want to do it all the same style. I want to make sure that the dinosaurs are rendered one way and the humans are rendered a different way. I just don't know how I would do that. I would want to do something like that, or maybe I would love to do Ultraman, obviously. I've got some hope for the future with regards to Ultraman, but I don't want to speak out of turn or too soon about that. I mean, Tsuburaya just has such a great catalog of characters. I have this giant book with all of their characters in it. So, Eisenborg's the first thing that comes to mind. The other guys like Mirror Man are fun, and Jumborg Ace. I would love to do a Ultimate Force Zero comic of like the 5 idiots, because Zero is actually my favorite Ultraman, and his little boy band of giant superheroes are some of my favorites. I love to do something with them. A lot of stuff is up in the air right now. It's a lot of hurry up and wait, and it's a lot of don't want to talk out of turn, but I've got designs on. I've been trying to get a creator-owned project off the ground for several years. I've had several projects start and then kind of fizzle out. I've finally partnered with someone who is like doing a lot of the legwork for me, so I don't have to like take time from my current workload to work on it. But he's really knocking it out of the park, and if we can get this whole thing together, if we can get a publisher lined up and everything, I think it'll be something really different from what I've normally done. Really kind of aggressively, still in my wheelhouse. Like, you'll see it and be like, okay, this is a Matt comic, but not, let's just say, no kaiju. Something not kaiju related. And I've also just got some other stuff waiting in the wings. For right now, it's Redman, baby. I'm still hoping to keep doing Godzilla stuff. I've got some other stuff I'm talking about doing Godzilla related, but right now I've just got to get Redman done. A lot of artists have started joking that the answer to that should be don't. Industry's full. But it's not actually, I don't think it's 100% true. I think we always need more artists coming in. We always need fresh blood coming in. And I'm seeing a lot of young people coming into it who are just incredible at what they're doing and have a unique voice and a unique perspective. And I also talk to a lot of, I think that a lot of that like don't mentality, it just comes from trying to give people realistic expectations, because it's a tough industry. It's an unforgiving industry in a lot of ways, and it's not a whole lot of money in it. It's true. I mean, but I think that the best advice I can give is to keep working at it. You're gonna suck when you start. Everybody sucks when they start, and you're gonna suck for a long time. But if you focus on your art and you focus on getting better, don't be afraid to show your stuff off. Even if it sucks, show it off. Because, I go back and I look at some of my older stuff, even stuff from like 2007, like, 10 years ago or something, when I was in college doing stuff. I look back and I'm just like, oh, no. But anyway, so you're your own worst critic, but don't be afraid to look for criticism from others as well. Even if you think someone's being mean, try to look at what they're saying, see if it tracks with what other people are saying, and try to pull out what you think is constructive about it. So that's my best advice, is just keep working at it, and you're always going to be improving. The more you do it, just always going to be improving. So that's my best advice.